If I saw Ben Shapiro speak on a college campus, I would have only one question for him.
If your mother was a vampire and your father was a Frankenstein, how come you are a werewolf?
Huh. I never thought of that. Doesn't make sense, does it?
Hi, folks. I don't want to talk about Ben Shapiro. I really don't. I would rather not even have to think about him. I find the bigotry he spews repulsive and the way he operates dishonest. So many other people have pointed this out in detail, so I'm not going to do that here. If the lengthy takedown of Shapiro in Current Affairs by Nathan Robinson or the hour-long video by Cody Johnston did not convince people of his bigotry and sophistry, I don't think a channel with 2,000 subscribers will. So why am I making this video? I'm making it because his popularity says something about the current media environment. Like I said, I don't want to talk about Ben Shapiro. I find him unpleasant and toxic. If I had a chance to debate him, I would turn it down. Not because I think he would destroy me in a debate. He might. I don't know how I would fare against his gish gallop tactics and such. No, I would turn down a chance to debate Shapiro for the same reason I would not want to sit in a room full of shit and weak old rotting fish. I find him unpleasant on a deep level. No doubt he wants me to react this way, and the media platforms he leverages also encourage these types of reactions. This draws maximum attention. The dark money producing right-wing shows and spending tens of thousands per week on ads for them does not hurt either. In the case of Shapiro and other IDW folks, I have taken the bait at times more than I care to admit to myself. I have also talked about these people because, quite frankly, it gets more views. If I make a video condemning an IDW person, it is guaranteed a minimum of 1,000 views. Other topics are hit or miss, which is why you see so many leftist channels making videos about these folks, or making videos about right-wingers more generally. People want to watch the fight. I get it. I started out making videos about Jordan Peterson. But part of the reason I did that was not just to take down the likes of these reactionaries. I wanted to present an alternative. But more and more I became frustrated because I saw how much talking about these people got me and other content creators hits. And frankly, I'm kind of tired of talking about them. I think they need countering, and their ideas will probably be around requiring this for some time. But I find getting locked in a conversation with them tedious and probably not good for mental health. This got reiterated to me beautifully when Dave Rubin interviewed Marianne Williamson. She did an amazing job of countering him where he was wrong, but in a way that was, quite frankly, filled with love. I think if myself or many of my comrades found themselves hearing some of the things Rubin said, they would have lost their cool and played right into his "the left is intolerant" shtick. So, inspired by Marianne's loving criticism and Cornel West's insistence on calling everyone brother and sister. So, inspired by Marianne, I would like to go back to an idea I brought up in one of my first videos. It is not well produced, and I don't think most people have seen it. But I feel it gives good advice, both in terms of making you a better writer and a better thinker, but also dealing with more spiritual goals. What follows is an excerpt from that script. Judge actions and ideas, not individuals. This has benefits for both the person doing the judging and the person facing judgment. It allows me to separate the behavior and thoughts of a person from the individual. I can identify things about their thoughts and deeds I find negative without jumping to conclusions about the person. This allows me to critique their ideas or actions without me demonizing them. This kind of demonizing can cloud your thinking. It can cause you to hate people. This hinders your ability to judge their actions and ideas. It can cause the person you demonize to resent you, making discourse more difficult. Let me explain where this understanding comes from. The English language has some weird quirks. Alfred Korbinski, the founder of general semantics, wrote a lot about the use of the verb to be. He noted the peculiarity of saying one thing is another thing. A lot of writers try to use this verb as little as possible. Some even engage in the exercise of writing in what Robert Anton Wilson called E-prime, writing without using the verb to be in any form. This forces you to show instead of tell your readers, and to use active instead of passive language. This might sound difficult, but I have done it for the last few paragraphs, with the exception of the example of is a few sentences back. I will give myself permission to slip out of it now, but I will try to keep it up. Sometimes using a form of to be just works better. Sometimes you just need to make a declarative statement, and to be works best for this. Though some weaselly words for getting around this exist. Exist is actually a good example. So are words like seems and appears. They can both take on a passive voice. In any case, writing in E-prime takes a lot of effort. Talking like this takes even more, and thinking like this takes the most effort. However, like all things, if you practice it, it gets easier, and it has benefits for you and those around you. This brings us back to the topic at hand. When you start to think in E-prime, it makes your thinking a lot clearer, just as it forces writers to show, not tell. This way of thinking forces you to actually consider what you don't like about someone, by focusing on the ideas and behaviors of this person. We can't pretend our emotions don't influence us, but we can stop them from completely ruling us, and this helps. So instead of saying someone is an asshole, you say, I don't agree with what this person did, or I think they did a terrible thing here because. This communicates much more clearly than saying something negative about a person, and it takes the focus off of personalities, which can drown the conversation in demonization and hero worship on one hand, or narcissism and self-flagellation on the other. This can really free you and the person in question. In keeping with the Christian admonition, judge not lest ye be judged, it allows you to believe in the redemption and forgiveness of individuals, including yourself. It makes you more likely to listen to someone and less likely to demonize them, more likely to engage in conversation with them, and less likely to get into a pointless argument with them. He is a murderer changes to he murdered somebody, and so on. This has influences on the way we look at other individuals and society, but also on the way we look at ourselves. It means we are not the worst thing we ever did, and neither is anybody else. A lot of people beat themselves up over their past mistakes and misdeeds. This can trap them by making them identify with something they no longer agree with. If I think I'm a terrible person because of something I did or said, I just wallow in self-loathing. If I think I really should not have done that, or I was wrong about that, I become more aware of my failures as separate from myself, and this can at least encourage me to correct my behavior and thinking. In this way, critiquing our own thoughts and actions can only help improve us. I find judging individuals creates a lot of blind spots, both when we judge ourselves and when we judge others. If I write someone off as terrible, I lose the opportunity to actually hear their point of view, which makes me more likely to concentrate on a straw man of them. I therefore walk around with a misconception of them that never gets corrected. Consequently, I make poor arguments against them, and don't learn anything from their critiques of me, some of which could help me. I really want to follow my own advice, but some people make this harder than others. When a person continues to lie and spread hatred, harsh words seem appropriate. That's why I love Chapo Trap House. But in the interest of Marianne and good vibes, I'm going to apply this criteria to Shapiro anyway. So where does this leave me? I have already decided I would not repeat all the work people have done criticizing Shapiro's ideas and behavior. But I also don't want to demonize the guy, especially since that's the part he wants me to play. No, I'm going to show Shapiro how his behavior hurts him in the hopes that he will change. In order to do this, I first need to think of something nice to say about Ben. Shit. Okay, something good about Ben Shapiro. Oh, say what you want about Ben Shapiro, but he actually takes those overpriced caffeine pills that he markets as brain pills. And I think you have to respect him for that.
I think we have to separate out a couple of strands there. Number one,
If you're going to talk about the efficacy of workers owning the means of production, are we talking about the government owning the means of production, or are we talking about workers owning the means of production? Because if you're talking about the government, that is wildly untrue. The last statement that you just made is effective. When the government owns the means of production, generally everything blows. Okay, that's actually the story of Cuba. That is the story of Venezuela.
All right. That was a low blow. Sorry, I just needed to get that out of my system. He does talk really fast, though. I had a hard time editing a clip for another video because he will say a new word before the sound wave from the previous one has decayed. But seriously, I actually found a clip that I not only agree with, but where Ben echoes some advice I have given my brother about finding a husband.
okay, so if you're in it for marriage, then the number one thing you must have in common with your spouse is values. You don't have interests come after values. But most people are interested in lots of things. There are lots of interesting things in the world. Liking the same movies, liking the same art, virtually worthless. What is important is that you have the same value system.
I do find this very good advice. People get very hung up on finding someone with the same interests, but it is much more useful to find someone who has the same values. If you don't like the same movies, you can deal with that. But if one of you is very materialistic and the other could care less about keeping up with the Joneses, you will have a problem, to give just one example. Ben does talk about his family warmly and particularly enjoys the Sabbath with them when they unplug from media. I find this nice, human, and relatable. I can tell that Ben honestly values his connection with his family. With that in mind, I would like to help Ben, and by extension the rest of us, because I have seen another clip that gives a glimpse into his family life, and things don't look so rosy.
Because my wife loves it when I get hurt. It is her favorite thing. My wife comes rushing in, and she sees me on the floor, clutching my leg, and I mean, this thing hurt like hell. I mean, it wasn't just like a shin hurt, it was like, it was bleeding. I mean, there was actual blood, and like I stepped directly on a bunch of blocks at the same time. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I'm lying on the floor, and my wife is laughing as hard as I have ever seen her laugh in her life. She is dying. I mean, she is crying. She is laughing so hard. And this continues for a solid, I kid you not, 15 minutes of her laughing as I hobble around the house as though I've been wounded in some sort of crucial battle. And finally, things calm down, and I put an ice pack on my leg. And as we're about to fall asleep, I hear her giggling and laughing because my wife loves it when I get hurt. It is her favorite thing. And I don't know if this is, I'll have to talk to some more of the women in the office. I don't know if this is a woman thing because my mom has the same thing with my father. Like if my dad clocks himself, my mom thinks it's the funniest thing that she's ever seen. And, you know, if I were really, really hurt, like deeply hurt, like hospital hurt, then I assume that my wife would not be quite as pleased with the situation. But when I clock myself and it really hurts, but I'm not dying, my wife thinks it's the funniest thing that has ever happened. So things I hate, this one goes out to you, sweetheart. Love you, even if you don't love me.
I play this clip not to beat up on Ben Shapiro. I get the impression that this happened enough when he was a kid and might have contributed to his current demeanor. I play this to point out that the person who is supposed to care about him the most clearly loves to see his pain, and not even in a fun sort of way. This does not seem like a healthy reaction to have when your partner gets hurt. I have been married for about 7 years and we have been together for about 9, and I can't imagine my wife ever taking this level of satisfaction in my pain and injury, or vice versa. I get that some couples will have a playful laugh if someone gets hurt, and that this can lighten the mood, but I think this goes way beyond that. I truly think that constantly stirring up hatred the way Ben does has taken its toll on him and his relationships. I also think if I was a doctor, as Ben Shapiro claims his wife is, I might get annoyed with the factually incorrect statements he has made about women's reproductive health. Or Ben might have gotten so used to destroying people that he has a hard time getting out of that mode and acts terribly to people around him in ways he doesn't realize. As I stated earlier, this kind of behavior hurts the person doing it as well as those on the receiving end. Ben Shapiro might respond that I don't have any facts to back this up and that facts don't care about my feelings. Fair enough. But you know what, Ben? I care about your feelings. I do. I don't want you to be unhappy and have a marriage where your wife resents you to the point that she enjoys it when you get seriously hurt. I don't want you to feel a need to spread bigotry because you were bullied or whatever caused you to do what you do. When you act like this, it hurts other people. It also hurts you, which makes you keep doing it. I think you need to actually listen to the people you hurt with your words. Probably start with your wife, because I see a lot of resentment there. But I'm sure there is also love. So it might be a more comfortable way to encounter the intense backlash you will feel against years of filling the world with hatred and lies. Then maybe talk to those women you work with. From there, expand to actually listening to the people you disagree with. I'm sure this video will get more views than my recent ones, just because it has Shapiro's name in the title. But it kind of bugs me how much attention we in the left media sphere pay to some of these personalities. I realize that it does generate clicks, and I don't know what to do about that. I'm not sure if it is us or the algorithm to blame. All I know is that while I find it important to counter some of what they say, I would rather talk about our ideas. And when we spend so much time making content about these people, we don't do that. Anyway, I hope you will subscribe to hear me talk about my ideas. I really like making videos on how to manage a green energy transition, but I also talk about technology, the occult, economy, ecology, psychedelics, and changing models of masculinity. If you really like what I do here, please support me on Patreon. Patrons at the Rebel tier and up get premium content where I discuss psychedelics, the occult, and other not safe for work stuff. I also have some tarot t-shirts for sale. They feature the major arcana of the Marseille deck, which you find decorating my channel. I have them available in a bunch of colors, in unisex and women's cuts. I have links in the description. Thanks for watching. I'm Greg Belvedere. Remember, all generalizations are stupid, so never speak in absolutes. Rebel Base, out.